Richards, and you're watching UDL TV.
I'm Jake Ronani, and you're watching UDL TV.
Welcome into the first ever episode of UDL TV.
They come in off that hangover.
My sources have never ever been wrong before.
I think it'd be good for Rocco's legacy too, man.
And we would just see a complete shakeup at that point.
I'm Noah McGilly, and you're watching UDL TV.
I'm Kevin DeHolland, and you're watching UDL TV.
Clark wins it.
Check, baby. See you in the office.
I'm JT Bain, you're watching UDL TV.
You're watching UDL TV.
You're watching UDL TV.
Welcome into the first ever episode of UDL TV. I'm your commissioner, Troy Costa, joined by one of the founders of UDL, Brendan Schmerda DeAndre, and we are very excited to bring to you our brand new show dedicated to everything UDL.
That's right, Troy. UDL TV is the place to stay up to date with everything going on in the league, including off-season drama, never-before-heard stories, lists, rankings, debates, and much more. Make sure you stay tuned to UDL TV every week for UDL TV giveaways and a lot of exclusive updates going on in the league.
We have a jam-packed episode today, including two All-Stars debating a big topic. Which is the more impressive UDL dynasty? Is it Scott and Drew, or is it Lang and J-Rich? We also go over the top 5 sleeper teams to look out for heading into the next season, go over the top 10 plays of this past year, and so much more. But first, we have a developing story about our reigning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. I have here O Money, one of our UDL analysts, to break it down for us. O Money, good morning. How we doing?
How's it going, O Money?
Good morning. How are we today, gentlemen?
All right, so what are we hearing?
All right, so we got a shocking new development. We got Lang and J-Rich, who are 4-time champions. There might be a little bit of rift between these two teammates. There's sources telling me that J-Rich could be looking to leave Lang, but Lang himself doesn't buy into the hype there. He claims that there's nothing there and they'll be together next year, and J-Rich has been awfully quiet about that.
Wow, that is some shocking news that would definitely shake the landscape of UDL. So you tell me, do your sources know who J-Rich's partner might be?
We've heard that it could be a hometown rookie, but my sources have not divulged the name to me yet.
Wow, so that's crazy news hearing that you have 2-star UDL teammates breaking up. I've never heard of a maybe betrayal of a championship team ever in history of UDL. And it seems like we have another story coming out of Abington. Is that true?
You're not going to believe this, guys, but our most recent champs, Rocco and D-Hall, we're hearing the same types of things. We're hearing that Rocco could be looking to move on. There was a big kind of underground thing between the two of them. They both thought that they were deserving of Rookie of the Year, and a lot of my sources have told me that that might be playing into where they're finding a division in the team right now.
Wow. And who would Rocco be looking to team up with?
Okay. So I've heard from my sources that Rocco could be looking to team up with AJ. AJ came on strong at the end of last year. It's just what I've been hearing from my sources, who are very, very, very solid sources, I promise.
That is some crazy news. That might even be more crazy than the Lang and J-Rich news that our defending champions might be breaking up. What would this mean for D-Hall as a partner?
So interestingly enough, I've heard rumblings that D-Hall could end up with Kearney, who was formerly AJ's partner. It's kind of a roundabout thing, but it all circles back to Lang doesn't buy into this. So who does he end up with if all this is to go down?
Wow, so that would definitely change everything about UDL next season if not only Rocco and D-Hall, but Lang and J-Rich aren't going to be together next season. But yeah, we appreciate your time this morning, O Money.
It was great to hear from you today, O Money. I really respect you coming on here and leaking all of that information, and I hope you come back with even better news next time, man.
Guys,
take it easy.
Thanks for having me.
So some surprising news there delivered by O Money. We find out that our defending champions of the UDL, Rocco and D-Hall, may be breaking up. That's some big news. That's some big news for the league.
Wow.
So, I bring on now 2 All-Stars, 2 award winners from this past season. Welcome now Offensive Player of the Year, JT Bain, and Most Improved Player of the Year, Justin Torres. Boys, good morning. Thanks for coming on in.
How you guys doing this morning?
Of course, always great, guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So you heard the news from O'Money. Rocco may be considering dropping D-Hall, jumping ship to AJ. What do you think? What do you think that's a good idea for Rocco? If you were in Rocco's shoes, what would you do? Would you stick with D-Hall or would you go with AJ?
Me personally, I would just stick. He just stay with D-Hall. They are an unstoppable force together. They won the season last year. Why switch it up?
Yeah, I
Doesn't
mean,
make sense to me.
definitely. JT, you agree?
Yeah. We get it started with saying D-Hall's a phenomenal player. Definitely top 5, top 7 caliber in the league. He's a finalist for a bunch of awards this year. But I'm just thinking longevity and chemistry. Rocco always playing and die at his house, and AJ's his partner. They would go to from the jump, and if it wasn't for an injury for AJ, they 100% would have been partners this year. And I think they would have done just as much damage as Rocco and D-Hall did this year, even though they won the ship, which was crazy, crazy feat. But I think Rocco should definitely try to switch up this year. Stay what he knew, stay what he was going to do from the jump.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely AJ's a stud. There's no doubt in that. It's just the fact of, do you want to leave something that you know you can win with in D-Hall? You know you already have the win there. You won the championship. You are the defending champs. Are you ready to make that move? That's a big move. And so, JT, you think he is ready to make that move? You think he should make that move?
Talking about me, JT. Yeah, he should make that move. When AJ was in the tournaments this year with Kearney, he only played in 2 tournaments. In those 2 tournaments, he was a finalist and he was a top 4 finalist. In just 2 tournaments, he qualified for the playoffs this year, AJ. Kearney was a really, really, really good player too. But Rocco and AJ, I think, could easily be a dynamic team to be messed with. And I think it'd be good for Rocco's legacy too, man. Take off from D-Hall, prove that you can win for something else. But like I said, D-Hall is an excellent player, won the All-Star tournament. Honestly, for Rocco, it's a win-win situation, no doubt.
So, Torres, after hearing JT's points, does it sway you at all, or you?
No. I definitely don't agree.
Yeah.
No disrespect to AJ at all. He's a phenomenal player. Played in very few 20s this season, but and he still showed out. There's nothing wrong with his game. He's a great player. It's just the fact that why switch it up when you already have a dynasty going?
So you see Rocco and D-Hall winning more championships next season if they stay together?
For sure.
Well, boys, thanks a lot for coming in today. It'll be interesting to see what pans out with Rocco, if he's going to stick with D-Hall, if he's going to go with AJ. But either way, I think we have a few championships in Rocco's future, no matter who he's with.
For sure.
All right.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, UDL4L.
After the break, we got 4-time UDL champion Justin Richards joining us to share with us his top 5 sleeper teams for 2022. Also, we'll take a look at the top 10 plays of the entire 2021 season. We'll see you after the break.
Stay right there. Hi, everybody. Welcome back from the commercial break. We have a huge segment coming up going over the UDL playoffs, first ever playoffs last season, including 8 of the UDL's best teams. Now, you have to understand there's a lot of teams in this league, and we have Justin Richards here to break down his top 5 UDL sleeper teams for the playoffs. He is a 4-time UDL champion. He is a 2020 Rookie of the Year, and he is a 2021 Defensive Player of the Year. How you doing today, Justin?
Morning, J. Rich.
Morning. Good. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Before we get into this segment, I have to ask, we heard O'Money's story earlier in the show about maybe you leaving Langa. Can I ask that? Do you have anything to share about that? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I don't have too much to share about that. I know there's kind of, a lot of talk going on right now. I mean, I haven't came out and said anything publicly. I don't really plan on doing that. So I'm not sure where that's really coming from, but yeah, nothing else really on my end for that.
Got it.
Awesome.
Understood.
Keep it professional. I like it.
So J Rich, let's hear your top 5 sleeper teams heading into 2022. I'm looking for 5 teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that you expect to get in there this year. Who do you got?
So I think for my number 5 pick there would definitely be Beretti and Mood. Beretti's kind of, a beast on the offense. He was top 5 in scoring last season. Mood, I think if he steps it up, he'll be a good partner to support that. And they could have a very good chance at making the playoffs if they do step it up. Beretti's already there. Mood is definitely on the road, so with a little bit of off-season work, I think he's good. Moving into the number 4 spot, I would definitely say that's J-Lar and Haas. They, had a strong finish last season. The last tournament prior to the playoffs starting, they had a top 4 finish, so very strong with regards to that. With a little bit of off-season improvement for both these teams coming in at the 5 and 4 spots, I could see real potential there making it into the playoffs this season. Coming in at the number 3 spot, I would definitely say Ty and Kamande. They've been around for a while. They've been strong for a while as well. So I think, if they just step it up one more level, finish strong on all their games, just put them away, leave no questions on the field, I think they would have a real good chance at making it in. Coming up on the number 2 spot would be Shazo and Mark. Definitely, they were contenders for, I believe Shazo was, my opponent in the going for the Defensive Player of the Year running. So he's definitely on his A game with the defense. Mark, he needs to step it up with just a little bit. They're also very strong with their FIFAs. So as long as they continue to do that, hit the table a little bit more, I see them as very strong prospects for the playoffs moving into this next season as well. Coming into the number 1 spot, I would definitely say is Scott and Drew. They might not be too much of a sleeper pick in some of the other guys' eyes, but I would say the last season that they had, they were a bit quiet. They didn't really make too much noise, but I know they're very skilled players. Kind of my first season that I played, they were the top dogs, kind of the guys to watch out for. But like I said, they've been quiet, so I'd like to see them kind of come out strong this year, and they very well could end up in the playoffs.
Well, there you have it.
Oof, what a fire list.
J Rich's top 5 sleeper teams heading into 2022. Don't be surprised if you see any of these 5 teams in the playoffs next year, and we can go back to this tape and say J Rich told us so. J Rich, thanks for coming on this morning. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, J Rich.
Yep, thank you guys. It was my pleasure.
Take it easy.
All right, here we have, guys, the UDL 2021 Top 10 Plays of the Year. With the top 10 play, turning 3, finals on the line, Kevin with the toss, Brian Shea full extension, perfect snag. Fortunately, he goes on to lose that game.
Coming in at number 9, we are in the playoffs, round 1, laying at J Rich going up against JT and Kevin. Take a look at this FIFA snag off the foot of JT. Kevin Donnellan, full extension, lays out, makes the snag. Unfortunately, they go on to lose the game in the series.
Coming in at number 8, we have turning number 3, 10-10. Colin with the game on the line.
Down to catch.
Nasty snag. Unfortunately, Noah and Rocco go on to win this game 11-10.
Number 7, it's the finals of Tourney 2, laying at J Rich, Troy Marani. Troy tips it off the table, Marani off the foot of the table, and he snags it. 3 ricochets off the table before he secures the catch. Unbelievable play and concentration. Laying at J Rich go on to win their finals.
All right, coming in at number 6, we have Tourney number 1, Norris with the toss. Nice toss. Colin, even better catch. Colin and Nick go on to win 11-10.
Coming in at number 5, It's the 2020 Defensive Player of the Year doing Defensive Player of the Year things. Scott Pulak with the insane snag, scrapes it out of the sand. Game-saving play. Scott and Drew go on to win.
All right, and at number 4, we have semifinals of the playoffs. Lenga and J. Rich, Troy and Jake, nasty FIFA, even better catch. Oh, let's see it again. Look at this catch, full extension focus. Troy and Jake go on to win this game. Unfortunately, they lose the series.
Play number 3, we got another finals matchup. Bobby JT, J. Rich Lenga. How about that play by your 2021 Defensive Player of the Year? Gets around the tough screen by JT. Lays out, makes the snag, loses a shoe. Crazy play by Lang and J. Rich.
All right, coming in at number 2, we have round 1 of the playoffs. Troy and Jake. JT and Fabiano with the 40-yard dash and the FIFA snag. What a first-round play to open up the tourney. JT and Fabi go on to win this game, but they lose the series.
And our number 1 play of the 2021 season is Tourney 5, Alec Garrett, Rocco D. Hall. How about this play by Rocco McClafferty? Breaks right through Alec with a tough screen, doesn't matter. Makes the play with the contact. Crazy concentration by a Rookie of the Year, Rocco. Unbelievable play. And folks, that's your top 10 plays of the season. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back into UDL TV. Lang and J. Rich have had a monster UDL career, picking up 4 UDL championships. That's a record now, tied with Scott and Drew as the only 2 teams to win 4 UDL championships, and they both did it in a span of only 5 tournaments. That brings up a question. Which is the more impressive UDL dynasty? Is it Scott and Drew's 4 UDL championships that they won back in 2018 and 2019? Or is it Lang and J. Rich's that they picked up here in 2021? I have now here 2 UDL All-Stars. I got John Commande. I got Alec Niehoff. Welcome, gentlemen.
Troy, thank you for having us on today. Really appreciate it.
Troy, thank you for having us here.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. So you heard the question. Which is the more impressive UDL dynasty? Is it Scott and Drew or is it Lang and J. Rich? I'll leave it to you guys. Alec, what do you think?
Listen, Scott and Drew, first dynasty to ever be part of UDL, winning 3 of the first UDL tourneys that were part of Season 1, going 17-0, undefeated in all the tournaments. And, you know, people say the league, hasn't developed, which is true, but you still have the vet teams that started the league in there with Troy and Jake, Alec and B-Watt, Commande and Ty. Who else? I mean, geez. You still had, those were all solid teams.
You got your partner G Baby,
teams
and
like
Hunter,
Garrett, Mahoney.
yeah.
You're right. There was a lot of good teams.
JT and Fobs. Good point.
Facts.
JT Fobs.
It's not like they played, bad teams per se, or there. I would say there just wasn't as many good teams in the league, but still, not taking 1 L in 3 straight tournaments is, I'd say, very impressive to do in any league.
That's a fact. Alec.
Monday, what do you agree with Alec?
I mean, I definitely agree with Alec's points. He's got his points, and he's definitely making a good case for his for Scott and Drew. But I think with the league growing, I think we've seen teams that have experience, and Lang and J. Rich have been in the middle of that and just been dominating throughout the whole growth of UDL. So I think that they're the face of UDL right now. That makes them the better dynasty in my eyes, just because they've been here while the league has been at its best, and they've dominated at the same time. I don't think anyone can overstate that. And then also, I think a big point that I got, and you guys, I had to bring it up. J. Rich and Lang, they drink, they booze, they come in with different types of booze. They come in off hangovers.
Facts. You're right. They're definitely warriors out there when they're playing. They're not pampering themselves on the sidelines. per se.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but there's a couple teams that they come through with a 6-pack of beers.
Hey, but at the end of the day, they're the ones who are getting paid, man. Monday. I know we can't talk unless we're talking post-tournament games for sure.
For sure.
But yeah. So I mean, whatever they do, man, they do. I'm talking going back to Scott and Drew. They're always in the end, man, when they're in the tournament. So that's another thing. I think a little bit of Lang and J. Rich got to overshadow Scott and Drew for missing a lot of games this season. I think personally that they could have carried their dynasty if they did attend more tournaments this year. Just because Scott's athleticism on defense with Drew's table accuracy, I just don't think there's any better combination in the league right now, to be honest with you.
So, Alec, that actually brings up a great question. If those teams were to play today, who would win?
Which teams?
I'm taking J. Rich.
Lang and J. Rich?
And J. Rich and Lang.
I got to go Scott and Drew. I think that there are more weaknesses with Lang and J. Rich than there are with Scott and Drew. I just don't think the defense is incredible. Their FIFAs are on point. I mean, they don't miss the table. I mean,
but how do you explain Scott playing defense on 2/3 of the whole table?
I mean, that's just the way they play, bro.
But if Drew's
the dude's diving all over the place.
Not to put anyone under the bus, and I understand that's Scott's strength, so you got to use it. But I don't think that they're as even as J. Rich and Lang. J. Rich and Lang, someone could have a bad day, and they still come out on top because J. Rich didn't miss the table one time. But Scott and Drew, if, let's say, one person isn't catching, like I said, we're not throwing any names out there. If one person isn't catching, we know that other teams are like, okay, we might have a shot today because one person isn't catching.
I see what you're saying. And it's not like we can say that we've ever seen Scott and Drew play separately because I don't think we ever have in a UDL game at least. Whereas Lang and J. Rich, we saw in the All-Star that, both of them making the finals on different teams. Granted, it's an All-Star game. Everyone's good. So it's not like they both had bad partners. They're both probably just as good as the partner or slightly worse than the partner they have, on a bad day.
Yep, that's a good point. I definitely will say that I think that the All-Star game, I won't give that to J. Rich and Langa in terms of them being a better dynasty because I do think that Scott and Drew could have done the same thing. I think they're definitely good enough to do the same thing. But I think in terms of like the 4 tournaments, I think that J. Rich and Langa won in a row. I think it's a little bit more impressive to them that I like the way that they did it too. Because I think they had some clutch games, if I remember. They had some like real clutch games where it came to the 3rd game of the series for the championship games and things like that. And I think Scott and Drew, they kind of blew teams out, or sometimes they just lost the game outright and you were like, wow, they're losing. But J. Rich and Lang, I feel like they were always in OT, so I give them points on the clutch. I always saw the clutch gene, especially in J. Rich. I'll say he never missed the table in clutch moments.
Boys, this is great stuff. We got to run to a commercial break, so I'll leave it there for now. But that was great, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next season if Scott and Drew are coming back. Are they going to be healthy? Are they going to be back to normal? Are Lang and J. Rich going to be together? Like we mentioned earlier in the show, they might be a partnership that's up in the air. So a lot to come in the next few months in terms of the UDL offseason and the start of the season. So, boys, we appreciate you taking the time out to join us this morning. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Commish, it's been a pleasure, Commish.
That's going to do it for the first episode of UDL TV. Thank you all for joining us. And like we said at the beginning of the episode, we're going to be doing exclusive UDL TV giveaways just for you guys that have watched this far into the episode. So today, our first giveaway, we're going to be giving away 2 tickets to the 2022 UDL Award Show.
That's a good deal right there.
In order to enter, all you have to do is like this video on YouTube, leave a comment, and send us a DM with this code. Send us this code, and you'll be entered into the giveaway, and we will pick a winner next week.
And again, I would like to thank everybody out there for staying tuned the entire episode. My name's Brendan DeAndre. This is Troy Costa, and thank you for being part of the first episode of UDL TV.